What's up? What's happening? You right here on the Truth is Cutthroat. For some of y'all, a long time no see, and for some of y'all, welcome. It's your first time seeing me, and for some of y'all, you already know me. I'm just going to be broadcasting this out, kind of like, and just advertising it, doing my own little thing, and just pushing it out. Hopefully, uh, people learn something from this. It's a big uproar about, birthrights and who is who and the Aboriginal. What I mean by the Aboriginal is the African American, the quote unquote black man, black woman, has always been wondering where they come from. A lot of them have felt like they came down to the ending core of who they are and they going back to the motherland, going to Africa. But the thing is, Africa is not even the name of the continent. And the thing is, when you say you're going back to Africa, it ain't no just going back to Africa. You got to know what country you're going to. But besides that, I want you to know something. African American is a big misnomer. You can't be African American. You can't be two things at once, okay? And another thing is, besides when it come to slavery, there wasn't a big thing of the slave trade. The slave trade, it came at a time a lot later, and then during before when it dealt with people being enslaved by kidnappers and things of the sort, they were coming from Scotland, England. They were coming from America. Yes, America was flooded full of Indians, and Indians, quote unquote, they were called Indians for some reason because the conquerors that came thought they were in the West Indies. So, just being called Indian didn't describe exactly who the people were and what do they look like. Well, as everybody see, dealing with the deportations and everything that's going on right now, everybody's wondering what's going on, and they was like, hey, you have a lot of people that got a lot of, a lot of envy, a lot of hatred, things of those sorts, right? Because they go, what about those African Americans? What about those blacks? They're immigrants. They're immigrants. And sad to say, and happy for us to say that I know who we are. And guess what? Many people have put out information for you guys to know who is the African American, who is the black man, who is the Negro, who is the colored, who is this person, who is these people, who are these people? Excuse me. It's a little bit exciting right now. So we got the truth to drop to you, and we got the information right now. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Nothing do it but to do it. All right. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hey, hey, it's gonna get heavy. It's gonna get heavy. You see, the thing is, when you get to wondering who are the original Americans, who are the indigenous of the Americas. But it goes even further that the indigenous of the Americas, when it pertains to the original people, the proper term is Aborigines. Aborigines is the proper term, and indigenous comes out of the Aboriginals. But don't let me tell you. Let's continue.
The first lesson that we learned coming into the classroom of God, he starts us off with actual facts. And the problem with many of us, we start talking before we know what we're talking about. We're not interested in facts. We're not interested in truth. So we go off of assumptions and emotions and who is the original man? Elijah Muhammad taught. The original man is the Asiatic black man. Listen. The maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the God of the universe. That's who you are, and that's who you were before the transatlantic slave trade brought us to America and turned us upside down and inside.
Woo! I don't know if that's touching y'all, but it's touching me. And y'all gotta understand what he's saying. See, when he speak on the transatlantic slave trade, he's only speaking on just a small percentage. He's only speaking on just a small percentage. Because there was things going on back and forth. There were trade, there were sales, there was a lot of transport of business, and there were a lot of human trafficking going on when it pertains to the colonizer. Let's continue.
What is the population of the original nation in the wilderness of North America and all over the planet Earth? At the time that that question was asked of us, the answer was 17 million with the 2 million Indians, making a total of 19 million in the wilderness of North America, 4,400,000,000 all over the planet Earth.
There you go. There were more Aboriginals than a quote-unquote Native American. There were more Aboriginals, 17 million Aboriginals within the wilderness, building pyramids, creating things. The 2 million of the Native Americans are not even original people. Those 2 million were originally invaders. But let's continue.
Why did our teacher put that in as an actual fact for us to think about?
Yes, sir.
We are so narrow in our thought processes.
And yes, we are. We are narrow in our thought processes. Because if we can all agree that everyone, quote unquote, came from Aboriginal people that's spoken of as Africans today. But as I speak on Aboriginal people throughout this video, I want you to know that I'm specifically speaking on the American Negro, the African American, the misnomer that these ancient people have been labeled, and they've been labeled multiple times. But let's just stick here. Let's continue. Farrakhan's not done.
Listen. It's not racism to say that the black man is the mother and father of all human beings. And no matter what science you think you know, you can't prove different. If white people were the first on our planet, we could never be, because it's a genetical, mathematical impossibility for two white people to produce what you see in South Sudan.
And that's right. It's only right that we take claim for who we are as a people. So when you talk to people and they say black people ain't the beginning of everything, we are 7 million years old. Yes, black people have created and invented everything. Thus, the reason in the Bible, it states there is nothing new under the sun. Thus, the reason when it came down to the fake moon landing, and it came down to the fake astronaut flight to the moon, they had reached a point that they never had. Heights into the sky that no mankind has reached. And one thing, I apologize. And one thing, and when they said one large step for mankind and one small step for man, but in reverse, it proves it all. It proves it all. Let's continue.
It's not hate. It's not racism. It's just a fact. So when man was being made in the image of God, it was a new man on our planet being made in the image of the original. So when man was being made in the image of God, it was a new man on our planet being made in the image of the original. So when man was being made in the image of God, it was a new man on our planet being made in the image of the original. We are the original man. But what has ruled us for the last 6,000 years is mankind, a kind of a man. We are the original man. But what has ruled us for the last 6,000 years is mankind, a kind of a man, made after the order of the original man. We're not better than you in this sense. If Usain Bolt was on the track with a lot of other speedsters. He's not being arrogant if he says, I think I can beat you all. He didn't have to think it, he proved it. We are the first in the light of the sun. The lands that we own are the richest lands, and envy from the new man on our planet used your knowledge, your wisdom of tricks and lies to create division among us and rule us until the coming of God.
Ain't that the truth? And y'all have to pay attention. You have to pay attention. You deal with the fork tongue, and you deal with the type of language where they use an advanced level of education, where when they talk to you, they have a way of making deadly things, ungodly things, disgusting things, unpleasant things seem pleasant, seem okay, where they make it seem so innocent and pretty much disguise it so that when it comes to it, it's just a shock to you. But then they try to ease you into it. Just like they try to ease you into any and everything that they try to manipulate you with. Be aware of the propaganda. Be aware, because they use it against you every day. Same as they use the imagery to lure our women and seed them so they can create genocide to erase you, to take your place. But that's another subject. Another subject. It's part of this journey of the reason why you're dealing with what you're dealing with now.
This is where I wanted to go tonight. I won't be long. I usually say that. And a few hours later, but not tonight, not tonight. Listen, family. To my Christian family here, the Bible teaches you, as by one man sin entered into the world, death came also because of sin. So all men have sinned, and death has passed to all men. But Adam's time was limited. It's the time now for the rise of the people that are the original people of our planet. Doesn't mean white people have to go someplace. It just means now is our time. And since it is our time, then you have to be honest with yourself and look at how you ruled.
Go ahead.
You did not rule and grant us freedom or justice or equity.
That's right.
You wanted to take God's place.
But we're gonna carry on. We're gonna carry on. But ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? But let's look into science. Science proves so much more. It just proves so much more.
In the heart of the Brazilian wilderness lies a prehistoric rock shelter, decorated with thousands of strange paintings. South American archaeologists are finding unusual human remains. The skulls aren't European, but they aren't American Indian either. They belong to none of the prehistoric races known to have set foot in the New World.
Prehistoric. I want y'all to hear that. Prehistoric. Okay? So what they saying is, the quote-unquote Indians are not the original people of America. The original people of America are prehistoric.
These skulls are as old as the Ice Age. So,
Old as the Ice Age.
who were these first people to discover the Americas? And what became of them? Did they all disappear? Or did some of them survive? Shelter walls are decorated with scenes from everyday life. A net to catch deer. A stick to collect honey from a bee.
Okay. You talking about these people, the original people on the planet that was building pyramids, doing all these things. Even though I know they say they old as the Ice Age, right? You talk about they doing all these things, yet they in cave walls making paintings that's mediocre. But you telling me these people who make pyramids and carve stone and rock in perfect shape of faces and features of the kings and queens and of the empress and emperors, and they paint pictures like this on the wall, and it's still so clear hundreds of thousands of years later? Well, if this is real, we already know that it's our children painting on the walls. That'll be our children painting on the walls. And that's the equivalent of these grown folks coming to our children's painting and going, wow. And our children's paintings are so amazing to them.
A hand shielding the eyes. Here, 3 people are helping a pregnant woman give birth. Some of the paintings are harder to interpret. These curious-looking figures are thought to be men in disguise, dancing with women.
Ceremony.
Originally painted them.
Truth mais velhos como os pais da gente, avô,
Our elders used to tell us they'd been made by Indians, known locally as the Fierce Ones.
Indians were the obvious candidates.
So you see an old school Mexican. Even though he's Spanish and he's mixed with Aborigines, so you can safe to say he's Mexican, okay? And he's a farmer of the area. And they say they original, quote unquote, the Indians, the fierce ones. The fierce ones. So you have the ones who's moderate, and you got the ones who's the original. So in that area, the people of that area called them Indians. But the archaeologist is calling them prehistoric.
Most of the people who live in northeastern Brazil today are descended from European settlers and African slaves.
African slaves. Now, they're going to twist it, okay? It was only 8% that they can get here. They did not have even a large enough boat to get here. They ended up near, right, the islands of the Caribbeans in Mexico in the 1500s. You hear me? The islands of the Caribbeans in Mexico in 1600s. Cargo ships haven't started being built or being shown in these areas only into the 1800s. The Caucasian, whether it was the Spanish or the European, the German, or the French, was not advanced enough. You hear me? Was not advanced enough to have ships, cargo ships, big enough to carry hundreds of thousands of people. Impossible.
But these ancestral groups arrived in Brazil just 500 years ago.
You hear what they said? 500 years. Didn't have nothing to do with the area.
When the Portuguese first discovered Brazil, they found that Indians were already here.
What? They were already there.
And a few of the local villagers are descendants of mixed marriages between Indians, farmers, and slaves.
Indians, farmers, slaves. So who are the farmers? Who are the farmers descendants of? Huh? Pay attention. They keep interchanging names. They're trying to mix you up. They were the aboriginals of the land, which are the prehistoric Indians and the people who migrated, which were part of the land. They are Mongolian.
Indians, in fact, had been in America for thousands of years. Scientists today can tell precisely when they arrived and from where. All native peoples in South and North America belong to a racial type known as Mongoloid.
Native. Natives are Mongoloid.
They're descended from the ancient peoples of Siberia.
Mongoloids are Siberian.
During the Ice Age, 12,000 years ago, there was a land bridge between Siberia and Alaska. Mongoloid peoples were the first to enter the New World, or so experts thought. The Brazilian finds point to a very different story of the discovery of the Americas. The paintings on these rock shelters are much older than the Indians. Here, hunters chased giant armadillos, an animal that flourished during the Ice Age long before the arrival of the Indians.
The hunters, now they saying the hunters were older than the Indians. But originally they said the Indians were the originals of the land, okay? You hear me? So they keep interchanging it. This is how they juggle it to try to erase you, to mix you up. They try to mix you up. I want y'all to keep, this is why I keep doing this now. So guess what happened, black man, black woman? You are Aboriginal. Indigenous to America. But it's more safe to call yourself Aborigines. Be careful. Be careful with all these names that interchange, because they want you to get lost. Because as they know you find yourself, they will try to twist you up. Okay? You hear me? And what I want you to know is, you were alive when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth. It was you that were like the Bam Bam. It was you that were like the Flintstones. It was you.
There's a playful feel to many of the scenes. Here, a group of men are standing on each other's shoulders, just like a circus act.
Climbing that large animal.
And here, a rare romantic moment.
A little bit of love.
The edges on one side of the stones were flaked off. Were these stones shaped into cutting tools by human hands? French archaeologists have just finished digging in Pedra Furada, the largest of the rock shelters. Their aim was to go back in time to a period well before the arrival of American Indians.
Okay, now that they keep saying it, right? So the quote unquote American Indians didn't exist. Now I want y'all to know back before the 60s, back before the 50s, before the 50s and the 40s, in those areas, Indian were applied to dark-skinned black Aboriginal people. That was the quote-unquote later on called Negro, colored, Negro, black African American. Pay attention.
Every foot they dug took them thousands of years back into prehistory.
Now we're going into dates. I want you to understand how far you're going back. They said you hundreds of thousands of years old but even before then, they being very, very, very light. We are 7 million years old on this planet. But we speaking on America right now, okay? Strictly America. That's from Canada all the way on down to South America.
When they reached layers 40,000 years old, they found these.
We starting at 40.
Pieces of quartzite that look remarkably like stone tools. The edges on one side of the stones were flaked off. Were these stones shaped into cutting tools by human hands? If so, then the history of the discovery of the Americas would have to be rewritten.
Of course, it should have been. They already knew it. They don't have to talk about it. They met us. They killed us. They raped us. And we still exist. And we in the hoods. All of these tribes.
But if people had been here before the American Indians, surely there would be other traces of their presence.
So who was here before the quote-unquote Native American? Because now they want to keep saying Indian. We know that they are applying it to the Native American. Who are these people who's been here before the Native American?
The archaeologists continued to dig, down to depths 50,000 years old.
Now we have 50.
And then they found this. Fragments of animal bone and charcoal. For Anne-Marie Passy, one of the archaeologists involved in the dig, these fragments were proof of human occupation.
On trouvait des structures de feu.
We found structures shaped like hearths.
Alors, à côté du charbon,
Next to
parfois,
the charcoal,
ça dépend des périodes,
depending on the
on retrouvait
period,
des
we sometimes found food leftovers of animals they may have eaten.
d'animaux qui ont pu être consommés.
The Brazilian finds show that the New World was discovered tens of thousands of years earlier than previously believed. Certainly well before the time of the American Indians.
So now they saying tens of thousands, right? No, it was an easy 50,000.
But who were these pioneers? A much earlier wave of Mongoloids, or another race altogether? Clues to the identity of the first Americans are emerging in rock shelters in the northeast and southeast of Brazil. Archaeologists there have recently unearthed human remains.
It's the moment of truth. I hope y'all been enjoying this so far. We getting to the moment of truth. We're gonna get a whole hour in on this. This is straight juice. You can come to this, you can soak it up, you can come back. However, it has to be done. This has to get handled now.
Prehistoric skulls were found buried in layers of soil 9 to 12,000 years old. They are the oldest skulls in the Americas. And this is the oldest of them all. The skull of a young woman nicknamed Luthia by scientists. Can she tell us who the first Americans were?
Yes. DNA. DNA does it all. DNA.
Walter Neves is a physical anthropologist at Sao Paulo University in Brazil. He's been using a standard and reliable archaeological measure, the shape of the skull, to find out what race she belonged to.
91.
He fully expected Luthia to be a Mongoloid, an ancestor of the American Indians.
91.
But then he fed the measurements into the computer.
When we start running the computer and seeing the results, it was amazing because we realized that the statistics, the quantitative analysis we were doing was not showing just people to be Mongoloid. In fact, the analysis was showing just people was anything except Mongoloid.
So now we already ruled, we got to the point that we ruled out these quote unquote Native Americans. We done ruled out these quote unquote Indians, right? They're not American. These quote unquote Indians are not American. Let's get to it.
So who was Luthia? And where did she come from? To find out, the skull was taken to a hospital in Rio de Janeiro to begin the process of reconstructing her face. The first stage was to make a three-dimensional CAT scan of Luthia's skull in order to build a replica. The cast was then given to Richard Neve of the University of Manchester in England, one of the world's leading forensic artists, to recreate her features.
There you go. There you go. There you go. And it resonates so much. It resonates so much, and it's bone chilling to watch. It's bone chilling. Can't y'all this ain't hitting you?
That to me is a Negroid face that has all the features you associate with a Negroid face. The proportions of the face, it doesn't say anything about it being a Mongoloid.
Luthia belongs to a race found historically.
That to me is a Negroid face that has all the features you associate with a Negroid face.
Whoa.
The proportions of the face, it doesn't say anything about it being a Mongoloid.
Luthia belongs to a race found historically along the rim of the Indian Ocean, in East Africa, in the islands of South Asia, and in Australia and Melanesia.
We everywhere.
Was this then the face of a first American? Her reconstruction is confirmed by measurements Walter Nevis has taken of all his skulls.
I want y'all to know, I'm not going to show the video. Y'all can look it up. I'm going to tell y'all the things, features and things to look it up into. But they try to burn this and destroy this. Okay? I want y'all to know that. Yeah, racism people.
The first reaction was not to believe in it. But as the results, repeated so many times, and the result is exactly the same thing.
Luthia belongs to a race. Was this then the face of a first American? Her reconstruction is confirmed by measurements Walter Nevis has taken of all his skulls.
The first reaction was not to believe in it. But as the results, repeated so many times, and the result is exactly the same thing. They are very similar to nowadays Aborigines and Africans, and no similarity at all with Mongoloids in Asia or...
Her reconstruction is confirmed by measurements Walter Nevis has taken of all his skulls.
Listen carefully.
The first reaction was not to believe in it. But as the results, repeated so many times, and the result is exactly the same thing. They are very similar to nowadays Aborigines and Africans, and no similarity at all with Mongoloids in Asia or with American Indians.
And there you go. There you go. No relation. That's an American Indian. This is an American Indian. Pay close attention. Pay real good attention on this stuff, okay? And if you don't, you will slip up, okay? Pay attention. I want y'all to take the time to read this. Pause it, run it back, and catch up on this information. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. This here is the truth. I want y'all to wake up. It's been a long time since y'all been previewing to some real information and some real food. You haven't been given real food. And right here is your indigenous people's rights. And this is what you would apply under. When you want to read about your rights and learn about how important you are in this country, you understand that you have some serious thinking to do when it comes to you learning about your rights as a people. And you can slow this down and you can read it and you can catch up on it. But I'm gonna point some things out to you. Y'all go to the beginning, y'all look this up yourself. But I'm gonna point some things out to you. American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People applies to the indigenous peoples of America. Self-identification in indigenous will be a fundamental criterion of determining to whom this declaration applies. State shall respect the rights of such self-identification in indigenous, whether individual or collectively, in keeping in the practices of institutions of each indigenous people. Check yourself out. Read these articles. Check them out. These articles are important. Indigenous people had the rights of self-determination, the virtue of the rights of the free determined to political statute and free pursuit for their economic and social and cultural development. Indigenous rights, you could be funded. There's funding for that. They have to respect that. This is your land. Full effective and observation of human rights is people have the right of full enjoyment of human rights, fundamental freedoms, and recognized in the Charter of United Nations. And I want y'all to understand that y'all recognize across the globe. And if you don't take control of your rights, you lose that. And that's what we've been losing, calling ourselves African American. We cannot call ourselves African American. That is not the right name and the title of us as a people. We should not be calling ourselves as that. These people collective rights that are indispensable for their existence, well-being, and integral development of people. In that regard, the state recognizes and respects the rights of indigenous people to their collective actions, to their judicial, social, political, and economic system institutions, to their own culture, to profess and practice the spiritual beliefs, to use their own tongue, language, and their land, territories, resources. State shall promote with the full and effective, come on now, full and effective what? Participation of indigenous people in the harmonious coexistence of the rights and the systems of different population groups and culture. Different population groups and cultures. This is speaking on you, the African American, that should be named Aborigines, American, entirely. As Morgan Freeman state, I would like to be called American, not African American. He don't want to be called no African American, which you should not want to be called either. Okay? Indigenous women have the rights of recognizing protection and enjoyment of all human rights, fundamental, and this is going to gender rights and things of the sort. Let's go down even further. Let's go down, check them out. Look, this is strictly about you. Against racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, related intolerance, protect against people of genocide. Genocide. That's the even part of you being preyed upon, and our women being preyed upon and being seeded by these races that wants to rid of our race. Genocide is a serious offense. And it happens. It happens. That means killing you off. Teens getting shot for nothing with guns and any other type of reason, strangled, hung just to get rid of you. Genocide is real, any and every type of way. Pay attention. I want y'all to understand that you have rights, and this goes on and on and on. And I'm talking about your rights are heavy. Rights belong to indigenous people. Communities have the right to belong to one or more indigenous people in accordance with the identity, traditions, customs, and systems belonging to each people. No discrimination of any kind may arise from the exercise of such right. You need to exercise that. You need to exercise that, and you need to recognize who you are. You are respected, brother. You are respected, sister. And once you go for your rights and you fight for your rights will be protected, and you need to claim your rights as an indigenous, aboriginal people of the Americas. It's very important. And peace and love, peace and love. Y'all stay safe out there. Hopefully I educated you very well, and please be mindful to teach your kids. Teach your kids. Because some of this, I know it wasn't appropriate for your kids to see, but as y'all in the hood and as some of y'all talk around y'all kids, hey, have them sit down and learn some of this. Y'all gotta love yourself, okay? Love you.